Secretos de la antigüedad. La isla de Sicilia, en el Mediterráneo, ha sido un campo de batalla durante siglos. En el año 213 a.C., este lugar fue escenario de una de las grandes batallas navales de la historia. 100 barcos de guerra romanos fueron mantenidos en la bahía por una asombrosa arma militar llamada la Garra, que sacaba a los barcos invasores del agua para luego hundirlos. Pero esta arma ha sido un misterio durante más de 2000 años. Nadie sabe cómo era la Garra, y nadie sabe cómo funcionaba. La Garra Griega. La legendaria batalla tuvo lugar en la pequeña ciudad de Siracusa. Los poderosos barcos de guerra romanos esperaban invadir fácil y rápidamente a los griegos. Pero Siracusa tenía un arma secreta. El genio Arquímedes, uno de los más grandes matemáticos de todos los tiempos, vivió aquí. Inventó varias máquinas de guerra, entre ellas su garra, tan aterradora que horrorizó incluso a los intrépidos romanos. La ingeniera de estructuras, Jo da Silva, está intentando reconstruir la garra de Arquímedes. La usará para sacar un barco del agua y, de ser posible, hundirlo.
Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Pero tiene un problema. No hay datos sobre esta garra o ancla. Solo algunas pistas interesantes escritas unos 70 años después de terminar la guerra.
A grappling iron attached to a chain would be let down, and with this the man controlling the beam would clutch at the ship. As soon as the prow was securely gripped, the lever of the machine inside the wall would be pressed down. The result was that some of the vessels heeled over and fell on their sides, and others capsized, while the majority, when their bows let fall from a height, plunged underwater and filled, and thus threw all into confusion.
La garra de Arquímedes fue tan asombrosa que adquirió fama. Este fresco, pintado en 1599, la muestra como una mano de hierro que hunde al barco en el mar. Desde Arquímedes, nadie ha intentado fabricar una garra, ni tampoco nadie ha intentado sujetar un barco y levantarlo hasta hundirlo.
I'm very apprehensive about the whole project. War machines is not something I design normally, and the only materials that really were available was timber, and that's not a material that we use that much of these days. It's a challenge, but we'll give it a go.
Joe quería tener lista esta torre de madera de 7 metros de alto que sostendrá la garra antes de que ésta llegara a Siracusa. Pero la torre debe ser modificada, así que los andamios cubren la torre mientras los obreros hacen los ajustes. Mientras tanto, el dueño de un circo, Brian Austin, llegó para ayudar a Joe. Es un experto en cuerdas, poleas y piezas grandes de madera.
I suppose I describe myself as just somebody being very basically practical. Part of my skills comes from spending 30 years in the circus, where we learn skills which are now beginning to die, splicing ropes, rigging, in quite unusual circumstances. And we need to improvise, and circus does teach you how to improvise. Right. Can you now thread this through the bottom pulley? I don't have any skills like Jo has. If she gives me calculations for things, I have a knack of being able to make them work very simply, and I think that's where I score. I actually try and do everything in the most simple way. Not too hard because it's not actually fixed. Just tie that so it can't go anywhere, Jo.
Brian y Joe están preparando unas poleas que usarán para levantar esta inmensa viga de 14 metros hasta la punta de la torre.
The machine I've designed has essentially got three components. There's the tower, and that tower might have been on wheels so that they could move them up or along the edge of the city wall. And then there is this, which is a large beam, which is a lever. It's 14 meters long and it weighs about 1.5 tons, which is not insignificant. And I've designed this tower to act as a crane, as a lifting mechanism, as well as support the beam once it's finally up. And then this component, which is very important, which is the rocker. And that sits down into the cradles here. And that will provide the pivot action of the beam. And lifting the beam into position is going to be quite a job. Once we've got the beam into roughly this sort of position, there will be a chain on the end here, and that will drop suddenly onto the boat and grab the boat. As soon as we see that the anchors grab the boat, then two tug-of-war teams, this end of the beam, with the help of pulleys, will pull down that end very suddenly, and the end will go up and hopefully lift up the boat. That is, of course, if it manages to grab the boat in the first place, which is the bit that I think is the hardest.
La mayoría ha escuchado acerca de Arquímedes solo por la ley de la hidrostática, un gran descubrimiento científico que realizó mientras se bañaba. Arquímedes, entonces, salió corriendo por las calles de Siracusa gritando: ¡Eureka! ¡Eureka! ¡La descubrí! Los matemáticos modernos, como Chris Rorres, siguen asombrados con los descubrimientos de Arquímedes.
Archimedes was certainly one of the greatest mathematicians, if not the greatest mathematician of all time. He was totally brilliant, and in addition, he was probably the greatest scientist of all time, though some English will argue that Isaac Newton was the greatest scientist of all time. And among engineers, he is clearly one of the leaders, certainly the greatest in antiquity.
Arquímedes puso sus conocimientos de matemáticas e ingeniería al servicio del pueblo de Siracusa cuando diseñó la garra para que la usaran contra los romanos invasores. Joe necesita un barco para su experimento. La arqueóloga marina Elena Flavia Castagnino le consiguió un bote de pescar que será destruido en poco tiempo. Pero el propietario del bote tiene una desagradable noticia para Joe.
And like, how heavy?
¿Cuánto pesa questa barca?
Sui 20 tonnellate.
How many is that?
It's about 20 tons.
20 tons.
20 tons.
20,
Too much.
25.
25 tons.
25 tons! This is my piece of paper. This is the $100.
Sì.
And it's 15 tons.
En Inglaterra, le habían dicho a Joe que el bote pesaba 15 toneladas, porque eso era lo que decían los documentos. Esto significa que ahora todos sus cálculos de la garra están errados.
I think 25 tons might be quite a big problem. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to think about it.
En suma, esto no ha sido un buen día para Joe.
Everything's going horribly wrong. We've got a problem, and the problem is that we've got to build a machine to lift a boat. I've designed and drawn a machine. It's half built, and I found out today that they built a key bit, which is the rocker, out of the wrong material. It's weaker material than I asked for.
The problem is, according to Joe's calculations with the extra weight of the boat, that this axle could shear. Makes the job quite serious.
And on top of that, the boat owner says that his boat weighs 20% more than it originally did. 20-30% more than it originally did. So from my point of view, as an engineer, the two sort of basic parameters, the materials and the loads, have changed. And I can't pack up and go home, so I'm gonna try and make it work. You know, the odds on whether we can pick the boat up or not, you know, at the moment going down rather than up. And it'd be rather nice if they were going up. I mean, it's a big change. It's like a big change to the design from my point of view, these two things. And I just need, you know, a few hours peace and quiet to see whether it is a big problem or a small problem, and whether it's a problem that can be overcome or not.
En el año 213 a.C., los romanos estaban desesperados por tomar el control de Siracusa. Si lo lograban, obtendrían el control sobre toda la isla de Sicilia, que tenía una posición estratégica en el Mediterráneo. El arqueólogo Roger Wilson es un experto sobre la compleja y violenta historia de Sicilia.
Here's the Mediterranean, with Italy, this long peninsula in the shape of a boot, with the heel here and the toe there, and just at the foot of the toe is the football of Sicily. Situated at the crossroads between the Western Mediterranean and the Straits of Gibraltar and the Eastern Mediterranean, and also on the north-south axis between North Africa and Italy. Now, until the 3rd century BC, this island of Sicily had nothing to do with Rome, nothing to do with the centre Italy at all. Today it forms part of Italy, but then it formed part of the Greek world.
A partir del siglo VIII a.C., llegaron a la isla varios grupos de griegos y se establecieron en algunas partes de Sicilia y en el sur de Italia. Siracusa se convirtió en la ciudad más grande y más próspera. Durante más de 1000 años fue una de las ciudades más importantes en el mundo griego, después de Atenas. Siracusa, como todas las ciudades de Grecia, era una república independiente con su propio rey. Pero culturalmente era griega.
Now, at the same time that these peoples were coming to settle in the southern part of Italy and in Sicily, there were another peoples coming from the eastern Mediterranean, from what is now Lebanon, off this map to the east. And they were called the Phoenicians. And the Phoenicians settled a little bit in western Sicily, in this area here. They settled in Sardinia, and they settled along this North African coastline, with their greatest city at Carthage. Now, in time, there became a development of superpower interest in this heart of the Mediterranean. Rome was getting more and more powerful. Carthage was flexing its military muscles. And caught in this between the two was the island of Sicily, with Syracuse as its most influential city. And that, in time, led to what in the 3rd century BC came in effect to be a world war.
Pero durante la mayor parte de la vida de Arquímedes, Siracusa permaneció en paz gracias a un tratado con Roma. Entonces Siracusa cambió de lado y apoyó a Cartago, convirtiéndose en blanco principal de los romanos. Arquímedes había pasado la mayor parte de esos años de paz diseñando máquinas de guerra como previsión a un futuro ataque de los romanos. Joe ha calculado que su máquina de guerra funcionará, pero cuando levante el bote, la máquina estará trabajando a su capacidad límite.
I worked out that the beam, this beam that we're sitting on, can take 9 tons.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do is get 9 tons out of the rest of the system as well. So I was basically just kind of going through and checking things. The first thing that doesn't work is the rocker here.
Right.
El pivote es demasiado débil todavía y tiene que ser reforzado.
What I've suggested to Salvatore is that we drill a hole right through the middle there and then take it back, put a steel pin in, and it can be pretending to be iron, but a steel pin in that goes back to about here. I don't want to go right through to the middle.
You don't want to go right through the centre?
No, because the bending stresses in the middle are okay, and I want...
El pivote es crucial, pues debe absorber todo el peso de la inmensa viga de 14 metros que pesa más de 1,5 toneladas. Mientras esperan que el pivote sea arreglado, pueden al menos poner en posición la viga.
So we want to take it that way anyway, Joe. And if we actually take that, that's it. Then you can take the men up that end.
Okay. Can we?
In line, keep it in line. Let's just try and pull it.
One in line. And we want them all on that side.
Yeah.
Okay, all on the other side. Yeah.
That's it. Okay. And we've got to take that end there, clear there. Okay? Not too quickly, gently.
Piano,
We don't want it to run away.
When this is here, then we need to take this out.
Should we have that out now? Give me a spare roller.
If they can lift
Salvatore,
it.
no, 1 minute. Can you lift it up?
Can you lift it?
Right, now we want to go straight.
Occhio al piede.
One moment now.
Right.
Ok, basta, basta. Sì, lo so.
Salvatore.
Take the weight down at that end now. That's all right.
Ok, basta.
What they need to do now is put the weight down
Yeah.
and then walk that way.
Via. Basta. Devo usare.
Down,
Basta.
back. Well, okay. Lovely.
Basta.
Good. Rollers. We're going to need to cut a roller short so we can go up between the two.
Piano. 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. Perfect.
Cuando los romanos lanzaron su ataque masivo, Siracusa estaba bien preparada para pelear contra su temible oponente. Ya tenían una pared defensiva de 27 kilómetros de largo, la más larga del mundo griego, y una inmensa fortaleza que los protegía de las invasiones terrestres. Una fortaleza con torres altas y fosos profundos. Y lo que había debajo de la fortaleza hizo a Siracusa aún más invulnerable.
This tunnel is just one of a whole amazing complex of galleries that honeycomb the rock around here and which make this Greek fortification one of the most complex known anywhere. The purpose of these galleries is really to provide a maximum amount of cover for the defender so that he could move around materials and men as secretly and as quickly as possible. The Romans, when they came here, did try and attack by land, but were repulsed. They realized that this whole network of fortifications made Syracuse impregnable by land, and that made them turn to think about attacking Syracuse by sea.
Excellent. Okay.
El pivote fue reforzado con una barra de acero. Con esto, Joe espera que tenga la resistencia para soportar la viga.
Va bene, grazie.
Pero primero hay que preparar las guías donde se apoya el pivote.
Cross to the left-hand side, I think you've got better access because you've got that beam above you to hold it. That's it. Your line's catching.
Brian,
Yeah.
you tie it up, I'll take it off this crab. I'll do this blobby stuff.
A Joe le tocó la agradable tarea de lubricar las guías con grasa.
Say lift that over there and just sit it.
You ready to send the rocker up?
Right.
El guante.
Don't let it wind up too much though. I'm just wondering, should I come up and give you a hand?
Hiya, more.
Avremo un poco più, un po' più.
It's all right, I'm going to come up to give you a hand.
It's all right.
You're going to get it in there and then you won't get it round the corner.
Okay, whatever you say.
Aspetta, lui sa lo che sta facendo.
You haven't got a safety line on there.
No, actually,
I'll move over to the other side because I need it 200.
Up. Well, it's enough. Down.
Okay, down, down,
Lower.
lower.
A Joe le preocupa que el pivote sea demasiado ancho para las guías.
It doesn't bloody fit.
No, because it's at an angle possibly if you need to lift it.
Okay, can you get them to lift it up a bit? Get them to lift it up and we'll have to lower it in a bit better. Can you up a little bit, Miguel?
Arriva, sube, sube.
We're okay.
You made it too tight.
Down.
No.
All right, leave it there. I'll lift this in. I can do it.
Run it up.
Okay.
Ecco, that's it.
Okay.
It's a tight fit, isn't it? Jeez. You think it's all right?
Yeah, fine.
Do you think it'll move?
Yeah, of course. The leverage on that is huge.
Yeah, it's true.
Joe diseñó su garra de Arquímedes usando una de las leyes más importantes y básicas de la mecánica.
Yeah,
Do you want
Okay,
to?
yeah, it's clear underneath.
Una ley que de hecho fue descubierta por Arquímedes.
Archimedes' most famous quotation is probably, "Give me a place to stand and I will move the earth." This is his famous boast after he had discovered the law of the lever. Now, he did not discover the lever itself. That had been in use for thousands of years before him. What he discovered was the relationship between the forces at the ends of a lever and the distances of those forces from the pivots of the lever.
Stop.
So Brian, how about if you move a little bit forward and see if we can get this seesaw in equilibrium. And this looks pretty good now. You can see they can bounce up and down without too much effort. This distance from Brian to the pivot point is roughly half the distance of Joe to the pivot point. So Joe is twice as far away as Brian. Now Archimedes' law of the lever says that the heavier weight Brian must then be twice as much as the lighter weight Joe.
Y exactamente como lo habría hecho Arquímedes, Joe también está usando la ley de la palanca para calcular dónde girará la larga viga cuando se apoye sobre el pivote.
Allora attenzione ragazzi.
Brian y Joe ya están listos para su primera maniobra importante. Hoy comenzarán a levantar la viga.
Well, we've gone over and over it in our heads, so we hope that we've thought through all the problems, but we won't know until we've tried.
Team A, when you're ready,
Okay.
gently
Allora,
pull.
uno.
No, don't yank. Gently.
Yeah. Piano, piano, lui voglia il piano, va bene? Allora, piano, 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 piano,
They're going to clear, Joe, the beam.
Yeah,
They're
you're
going to
right.
clear.
piano,
You're
Is it going to clear the
Piano.
front?
Yeah, you're clear at the
Piano.
front. You're fine.
piano, 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 piano,
Bit more.
piano,
Okay, that
piano,
way. Stop.
basta, no.
Hold.
A lot of movement in that jib, Brian.
Huh?
A lot of movement in the jib.
Sì, lo sta mettendo.
Keep the weight on it, keep the weight,
Yeah.
just gently.
Non
Now,
lasciare andare.
B and C, take up the strain both together.
Siete pronti?
Los voluntarios fueron divididos en 3 equipos, A, B y C.
Piano,
Together.
tutti insieme ragazzi. Yeah.
C to hold a minute.
Sì, aspettate. Tirare un po'.
Is it stuck on
Okay.
the step?
Right. Carry on, B and C.
Sì, via,
Yes.
via,
Yes.
via, piano, 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 piano,
Well
piano, piano, piano.
Stop.
Basta, stop.
Just hold it and A again. Right, A.
Todo va muy bien, pero deben asegurarse de que la viga está alineada con los 2 rieles guías del pivote.
B and C.
I'm about the maximum with me. I need one more.
I'll tell you what, let me do that. You
Due,
watch that.
tre.
Oh, you actually-
Tira, la tensione, solo la tensione.
Lovely. Perfect.
Stop.
We're in.
Yeah, that's it.
Hooray!
Yes.
Right.
Do we want to go
No,
a
no,
bit
no,
further?
no. Andare.
A bit more.
1, 2, 3.
Quedó
via.
justo en el medio de los rieles guías.
And again. One
Un'altra
more.
volta. 1, 2, 3. Via.
Whoa, stop.
Okay.
Right. Now the chance is now, if we lift it, we've got enough power to pull it past the chain. We take the chance. We've got plenty of power on the sides.
What, and let the chain rock just bump over it?
Go over. We've got a lot of
No,
power.
lasciate
Or just drop
andare.
it back into the rocker afterwards?
Yeah, if it goes upside down, we'll lift it again.
What do you reckon?
Go for it.
Go for it.
While we got you.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, via!
Oh, we're over.
The wind's got it now.
The wind's got it, I know.
Right, you got it clear? B and C.
Yeah, that's okay.
1, 2, 3, via! Basta!
Is it in the rocker?
Yeah, the chain's in the rocker.
Lovely.
It was really, really
excellent,
fantastic.
Excellent. Yeah, we're chuffed. We're chuffed.
We're chuffed. Good team.
Excellent.
Very, very good.
Conquistar a Siracusa fue tan importante para los romanos que enviaron a Marcellus, su mejor general, con 100 barcos de guerra y un ejército de 15,000 tropas para capturar la ciudad.
The attack when it came was two-pronged. It was intended to attack simultaneously by land and by sea, with the land armies on the north side of the city and Marcellus and his fleet attacking from here. And as the Romans advanced, they met a hail of artillery fire. Well, the Romans were used to artillery. They were used to having balls and darts shot at them. But normally, when one got inside a certain range, you reckon you were safe. But Archimedes had thought about that, and what he had inside the walls was a whole range of different artillery machines which had different firepower. And so the Romans found that as they advanced, they were still under constant fire. And then, of course, there was the claw, which came down and seized their ships. And this is what Plutarch had to say about that attack and about the impact that Archimedes' machines had on the Romans. In the end, Marcellus saw that the Romans had become so terrified that if a small cord or a bit of wood was seen poking slightly over the wall, they would spin around and flee, shouting, "There it is! Archimedes is aiming one of his engines at us!" So he discontinued all frontal assaults. And instead of this sudden sweeping away of Syracusan resistance, he had to institute a long siege, which lasted a full 2 years.
Now, when you throw the grappling hook onto the ship, it would do a lot of damage. It would dig into the wood. It would be very easy to destabilize this.
Mientras tanto, el experimento de Joe ha hecho resurgir el interés en Arquímedes y su garra.
By flooding the ore ports on the other side.
Yeah, the holes are there. What they would have had.
Chris Rorres y el ingeniero estructural Harry Harris tienen sus propias ideas de cómo trabaja la garra.
So you reckon he had a machine like about this spacing,
yes,
right along the wall?
It's about every 180 feet.
How would this rotate?
It would be on some kind of a wheel mechanism that could rotate at the four corners.
What, so you reckon that 4 people are pushing this round?
Well, the people on the wall, I don't think could have done it because it's too heavy.
Yeah.
It would have to be done by a system of pulleys from the ground.
Whoa.
Ropes, compound pulleys, and animal power probably. Because you have to have a swinging arc.
No, I totally agree that you have to, I mean, this is one of the problems that I was trying to work on too, is like, you have to have it being able to swing, because you can't rely on the boat coming in the right place.
Right.
But I have to say, I think it's a beautiful model,
yes,
but I don't think it would work. The thing that bothers me the most is that you're controlling this whole mechanism, both this action and, more importantly, the rotation action, on the ground with oxen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling happier because they've obviously gone through a similar thought process to the thought process I went through, and with a bigger lever action and less pulley action, I feel more confident that it might work. It's like a crab.
Like a crab, yes.
No, abbassa Marco, abbassa tutto. Ok.
Missed.
Alza ahora.
El profesor de diseño, Roberto Iano, hizo otra interpretación completamente diferente de la garra de Arquímedes. Su método para agarrar el barco se parece más a una garra.
Okay, third time lucky.
Alza. Io abbasso, basta.
Okay.
Io devo vedere.
He's caught it.
Ora tira io.
It's caught. Now what happens?
Molla.
E lasciate, vai.
And then the pulleys are pulled in, and it lifts it up, and the back of the boat is flooding.
Poi se io mollo la butto giù.
Way!
È questa che
It's very clever, his mechanism here and the system of pulleys. It's very clever.
Molto intelligente il sistema di pulegge che avete studiato.
But it's too, for me, I think it's too complicated. You're needing so much coordination to operate it.
Solo che è un sistema di riferimento anche degli alberi navali dell'epoca.
Joe ha tenido muchas ideas sobre cómo agarrar el barco y luego levantarlo fuera del agua. Ha decidido hacer las cosas sencillas y usar un ancla. Pero es difícil colgar el ancla de una cadena en la punta de la viga.
Can you take a bit of the weight in the middle, Joe? 1, 2, go.
Go, vai, tirate.
Ain't got a knot in the chain, have we?
Well, that's what I'm worrying about.
What we've been trying to do here is to get the actual anchor chain in place. And the problem is that it's so heavy that we've got to get it up in part and keep tying it off, so that we're not trying to carry the whole weight. And unfortunately, we've got a bit of a rope snag down here, so Joe's gone down to untangle it. Whoa, hold it there. Hold it there.
Damn, I broke my finger now. That's okay, and then I got untie it.
Al fin, la viga está lista para ser levantada a su posición final.
For some reason, I woke up this morning and I woke up in the middle of the night worrying about it, and I just don't feel confident. I don't know why. Maybe it'll go all right, maybe it'll go horribly wrong. Brian's here.
No, it'll be fine.
Sorting out all the problems.
Yeah, I feel it'll be fine.
Tirate, piano piano. Vai.
And again.
Vai.
Spike.
Right. Whoa. Together.
Assieme adesso, vai. B e C assieme.
Pull on
Come
that.
on.
Anche là.
Gently.
Anche là, tirate.
All the grease was
All
worth
together,
it.
right, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tutto assieme.
Stop on C a minute.
Fermi qua, fermi nella C.
Oh, that's it.
Wait.
That's it, go on. That's it. Bit more. Whoa. Okay.
Wait.
Right.
No, we're
now
over.
together.
La están levantando hacia arriba y adelante al mismo tiempo para llevar la viga al punto donde girará sobre el pivote debajo.
Piano piano.
Whoa.
Fermi. E ingranaggi.
Joe necesita verificar que la viga se encuentra en la posición exacta.
If I put this in here now,
Yeah. Going to go through into the rocker.
no, it won't. It'll miss the rocker completely.
Why?
Well, I'll do it.
Well,
Pero no está segura de que esté en el lugar correcto.
C'è
I
stato
think we
forse
could
uno
have really
sbaglio,
gone wrong here.
no.
El plan consiste en fijar la viga al pivote con una barra de acero. Pero primero, este hueco en la viga tiene que ser alineado perfectamente con un hueco en el pivote. Y Joe no está segura de que la barra pasará a través de él.
Going. What we don't know is how far it's going.
I think it's just going into this. I don't think it's going through. No, not yet. I'll stick my fingers up. Don't do it yet. Oh, I can feel it! It's coming out the other side!
We're having a birth.
Vai con la B.
Con la viga bien ajustada al pivote, este es el momento que Joe y Brian han estado esperando durante semanas.
Let them out, Joe. Let them out.
A can let go, can they?
Yeah, A can let go
A
now.
let go!
La A può lasciare, dice, voi potete anche lasciare e dare via la B.
B! Gently!
Leggermente, leggeri.
That's enough.
Wait a minute.
Basta così, alto il momento, alto.
Can we straighten it up?
One,
What
two.
shall we do,
A
Brian?
little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Allora un altro pochettino, piano piano.
Con solo alar un poco, la viga está arriba y horizontal. Bueno, casi horizontal.
Piano,
Well,
piano.
that's enough.
Basta, fermi
Not
così.
horizontal, it's not enough.
All right, go on then.
And one more,
Un
last
altro
one.
ancora, un altro pochettino.
Okay,
Alto così.
do not let go.
Non lasciate la corda.
Everything we thought could have possibly gone wrong, we were covered. We had guy ropes, we had blocks in the right
Yeah.
places, we got a backstop, so we were really covered.
This guy
really
is
good.
brilliant, he thinks of everything. So I should do the honours.
El toque final es lanzar el ancla.
Unlean this machine.
Pero la euforia de colocar arriba la viga pasa rápido. Ha sucedido algo inquietante.
We came back after lunch today, and before lunch the angle of the beam we'd set it horizontal, and we noticed that it basically tipped, so something's moved.
El sistema de poleas que levanta la punta trasera de la viga está fallando. El brazo de madera arriba es demasiado débil y se está rompiendo.
I think a lot of the problem is that there's a huge crack, horizontal crack in it. It's just very poor quality wood, which hasn't helped us at all.
Joe está realmente preocupada, pues si el brazo se rompe un poco más, la inmensa viga de 1,5 toneladas se quebrará al caer. Con suerte para Joe, el propietario del bote pesquero que intenta destruir ha venido en su rescate. Normalmente usa estos bloques de cemento para darle peso a sus redes de pescar. Ahora los están colocando en la cadena del ancla.
Did it move? Did it move? Yeah.
Joe calculó que este peso extra en el frente balanceará y asegurará la viga nuevamente.
Are we horizontal yet? No. As soon as we realized the problem, my brain just started going into, how can we get out of this? How can we get out of this? There's no point kind of thinking, how might it get worse? We closed off the road, made sure there was nobody on the site. I did the calculations to work out how much we needed to balance the seesaw, but I don't know, and it was 3 or 4. It's going perfect balance now. So pan it over. Phew! Phew. Thank you! Muchas gracias! Thank you, thank you! Thank you!
Mientras tanto, aunque Chris Rorres está fascinado por ver tanto interés en Arquímedes, no está convencido de que Joe esté haciendo su máquina de guerra como la hubiera hecho Arquímedes.
Quite frankly, I think the whole thing should be turned around. You have this valuable resource of beam, and it should be used to reach out to the sea to grab the ships. Right now you have 2/3 of the beam as a counterweight, which I think is not a good resource. But if you use leaden weights, you can put all the weight you want on that and get the moment that you desire.
Yeah, I'm not convinced by this business of shifting weights, because you're right, Livy talked about weights, but I based this primarily on Polybius, who didn't talk about weights. He talked about a large force.
No, he just said it was lowered. He didn't specify how it was lowered. Livy specified how it was lowered.
Yeah, but he used the words a lever, and this is what I'm trying to use, is a lever, and use the benefit of the leverage to reduce the force by 50%,
Right.
and then use pulleys as the weighting system.
I think the fact that Archimedes worked on these machines for years in peacetime does mean one thing, and that is we ought to remember this tomorrow. If our experiment doesn't work tomorrow and we can't lift a ship, I'm sure Archimedes had the same experience. We've been following in very good footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I'm sure his didn't work first time round.
Right.
It was only second or third time round his worked.
He had years
that's
to improve
reassuring.
it. It went through many different versions.
I think Joe at the moment is slightly nervous that it's not going to work. It's the safety factor, really. I mean, we've got quite a number of people working underneath it, and we can't afford for this to break. I mean, it's going to work, but it's whether it can actually carry the full load that we need it to carry.
La gente de Siracusa se reúne para observar el evento.
Yeah, I know. Can you stay away from the site?
Joe está cada vez más nerviosa.
I did wake up this morning and sort of felt like, sitting my A-levels again. And I'm a bit intimidated by the number of people watching. It's a public display of it all going to go wrong, if it's going to go wrong. But maybe it'll go right. I've got quite a lot of faith in the machine and a lot of faith in the rigging system. The anchor looks very tiny, but we couldn't get a big anchor made, so that may be the failing point. The boat may not be strong enough.
I think we've got a good chance of actually lifting the boat. At the end of the day, this is our first experiment. I feel quite good about it all.
El bote pesquero invasor parte al encuentro de su destino con la garra de Joe.
Se c'è qualcosa di fare, lo possiamo fare alla nave, va bene?
Okay.
Bene?
Has everybody got gloves?
Tutti quanti ci avete il guante? Tutti?
Joe confía en que este será su último viaje.
Brian? Where's Brian? Miguel?
No, non è possibile.
Miguel?
Non è possibile.
No. There are a lot of people helping. It's very important that everyone works together.
Allora, come tutte le equipi, noi dobbiamo lavorare tutti insieme.
Has anyone got a back injury?
C'è qualcuno male di schiena?
They say that the anchor was lowered on a chain. I always felt that sort of suggested a controlled thing, and I reckoned it would never have the power to grab a boat if you did it controlled. There'd be no element of surprise. We were trying to do something suddenly.
Lasciate andare.
Va bene.
Ok, lascialo così.
Okay, stay still. Be careful, especially at the back.
Fa attenzione ragazzi, gli ultimi ragazzi di là.
Brian, are you ready?
Okay. When you're ready, go.
On, go! Yeah.
Lamentablemente, el ancla no hizo lo que se suponía debía hacer.
The anchor's not the right shape for falling over. The original one that I drew was more like a grappling hook, and so it was unstable. Whereas this one, we thought that the power of falling would knock it over, but it didn't.
Lei lo che sta dicendo è che
Se suponía que el ancla cayera y se enganchara en el interior del bote, pero falló. Sin embargo, Joe está decidida a probar que su máquina funciona, así que decide atar el ancla al barco.
Facciamo scendere a Joe prima.
They got a loose end of the rope,
Right.
so they might as well just tie that off to the sides.
So we'll get the boat up in the air and we won't be able to put it down again.
Please pull gently. Do not let go until you are told to by Miguel.
Yeah. Fino a non lo dico io, non la lasciare andare. Se qualcosa va male, dovete tenere la corda, non la lasciate andare.
Okay.
Bene.
When they're ready.
Okay.
Al fin, están listos para comenzar. Pero, ¿tendrá la máquina de Joe la fuerza suficiente para levantar el bote?
Piano. Piano.
Keep going.
Piano.
Keep going.
1, 2. Come on. Piano. Piano. Piano.
Keep going.
Piano. Piano. Piano.
Okay, stop,
Via.
stop. These ones are pulling too
Basta,
straight. We need
basta.
some more on this one.
They cannot.
They can't do any more.
No, I think we're gonna need some more
That's it.
people.
Okay, can you hold it?
Yeah.
La máquina de Joe sostiene la viga, pero los que tiran de la cuerda no son muy fuertes. Necesitan más voluntarios.
Abbiamo bisogno di più volontari in questo gruppo. Chi voglia venire? Ehi, basta. Attenzione.
You've got to have gloves.
Di là.
No, if you haven't got gloves.
Guanti, non c'abbiamo guanti.
Okay.
Allora ragazzi, siete pronti? 1, 2, 3, via! 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 Via!
Yes, the hole's out of the water.
Basta!
We've got the prow of the boat has come out of the water, which is what I designed it for. Was I reckoned that we needed to get it to a certain angle, and if we had all ports at the back, they would have flooded by now, which would be helping us. Okay, last time.
Ok, 1, 2, 3, via! Via! Via!
Un barco de guerra romano largo y angosto ya estaría hundido para este momento. Pero Joe sabe que su máquina está trabajando en su límite de capacidad.
Okay, stop,
Via!
stop, stop.
Basta!
Y de repente, para sorpresa de muchos, el experimento termina.
Okay, whoa!
Basta!
Release! Okay,
Come in.
but they need to release.
Come in.
Come in, come in, come in.
Aunque no se ve muy claro desde tierra, el pivote se agrietó. La máquina de Joe se está rompiendo.
Yeah, because we've reached capacity.
Ok, allora lasciate andare un po'.
Bring it in, bring it in.
Lasciate andare un po' piano. Piano. Piano.
Es urgente. El bote debe ser colocado de nuevo en el agua tan rápido y seguro como sea posible.
Piano.
Let it go, let it go, let it go faster.
Quicker.
Un po' più veloce.
Occhio là, la
Lasciate
corda.
andare.
Can we just let it go,
Piano.
Brian?
No, because you might get rope burns as
Oh, yeah,
the ropes
okay.
go around people's legs. Come in.
Giro qua del...
Pero aunque haya culminado abruptamente, el experimento ha sido un éxito.
Okay, let go now.
Potete take
Let
let go.
You let go now.
Thank you, grazie! Good morning. Oh! I'm really pleased that we got the front of the boat out of the water, because that's what the load that I designed the machine for was enough to get it out of the water. Good work, mate.
Well done. Good.
I was excited, and I'm sure Archimedes, when he first saw the ships going down, would have been just as excited, not only because he was defending Syracuse, but because he was also verifying his mathematical and physical theories. That this was a very neat application of everything he had been studying all his life.
Gracias a Arquímedes, los romanos fueron alejados, pero mantuvieron sitiada a Siracusa durante 2 largos años. Cuando el ataque terminó, los ciudadanos de Siracusa habían sufrido terriblemente.
The final assault on Syracuse happened when the pro-peace party in the city decided to open a gate to Roman soldiers in the hope that their own lives would be spared. But in the end, it all went horribly wrong. Syracuse was set alight. There was a huge massacre. And in that massacre also died Archimedes. Stories about his death differ. Some say that he was working out a theorem and told a Roman soldier to desist until he finished his work. But more probably, he just was butchered in the general melee. It would be nice to think that Archimedes was a martyr to his science, but we cannot really be certain about that.
En el año 211 a.C., el mundo perdió uno de sus más grandes científicos, al mismo tiempo que los romanos continuaban con su conquista del mundo occidental.